story on News 12 First at 5. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Melissa Toon.
I'm Tom Campbell.
Today, South Carolina voters hit the polls for the Republican primary runoff. One of the biggest elections for South Carolina's Republican governor candidate. Nikki Haley won the primary outright over Gresham Barrett. There are also other statewide runoffs for the GOP. Lieutenant Governor, Attorney General, and State School Superintendent. Overall turnout is expected to be pretty light for today's runoff. We'll have all the election results tonight on WRVW.com and on News 12 at 11 o'clock. Current Governor Mark Sanford is taking some heat today. Jones frantically rang Dylan's doorbell. After she refused to let him in, that's when he sprinted across the yard to her neighbor's home. The Proprio 5000 is just one of the high-tech pieces of equipment here at the Uptown VA. It helps patients with balancing issues. As a matter of fact, the NFL team, the Atlanta Falcons, actually used this piece of equipment to help its players. One of the major arguments for gun control laws is that eliminating guns would eliminate criminals. Just a horrific sight here. Take a look now. Here's what we're told, that the fire actually started in the backside of the building and then it worked its way down to the bottom. And with a display case this tall, it's virtually impossible for someone to reach over and grab what's inside. Your life vest should fit snugly like this one. Make sure there's no leeway or room for you to wiggle out in case you fall out. This is the head harness, which is connected to the back air pack, one of the most crucial parts of a firefighter's uniform. It's often difficult for firefighters to find victims quickly. But with an advanced piece of equipment such as this.
Here at Fort Gordon, today is Augusta and Boots Day, where members of the community get a chance to come out and learn what it means to be a soldier. Now, we're going to stay out here, and as soon as we have chow, we're going to go back to the rifle range, which is on the other side, if you could take a look over there. Right now, we are at the most popular spot in all of Augusta. Take a look. We've got a lot of people waiting in line anxiously for the release of this movie tonight. Right now, things are quiet here with the exception of just a couple of Richmond County Sheriff's deputies coming up tonight, new at 11. You're going to hear from other members of the community about the new Black Panther presence here today.
And I'm Melissa Toon. We want to jump right into this story that we've been working on since late last night. There are two key locations for this story. The first is Fort Gordon. News 12's Katie Beasley has been there most of the day as this investigation unfolds. Residents living in the Cedar Creek subdivision of New Ellington have also been advised to boil their water. I pulled out a jacket this morning when I was out doing my run, and I like the cool temperatures.
Yeah, you
It's
can use
okay
it.
with a car warmed up.
News 12's Richard Rogers is in our phone bank tonight, where Richmond County educators are answering questions about Richmond County Public Schools. Drive down Lumpkin Road, and there's no way you can miss it. Those big bright eyes and cute chubby cheeks.
I think it's offensive. It makes people pay attention.
Offensive for Shavuna Mozine, not so for Brenda McFarland. But the billboard achieved its goal. It has people talking, from the beauty and barber shops to the working mom.
People don't like to talk about things that make them uncomfortable, and that sign makes them uncomfortable.
Brenda McFarland understands the message. It's the campaign tool for the Radiance Foundation and the Georgia Right to Life organization. The ad campaign is aimed at major cities in Georgia. The Black and Unwanted billboard points out the high number of abortions in the African American community.
And if God don't want him here, God ain't gonna put him here.
The pro-life group behind the billboard, based out of Alpharetta, wants to promote adoption as an option. They say focusing on African American women is key because of the high numbers, but some say it's not just a black thing. That billboard is certainly causing a controversy here in Augusta. Some have called it racist, while others say it's offensive. And you have those who say it's a message that's long overdue.
It's sad to think that nobody wants a child.
Sonia Cantrell says she's not sure about the approach, but the meaning behind it is certainly powerful.
You know, it's just sad that there's so many kids out there that, you know, don't even have a chance because nobody gives them a chance. You know, it gets taken away from them.
I mean, there's nothing good that can come out of it to me.
Back to Shavuna, who believes that targeting the African American community in this case is wrong.
It's cruel, honestly. If it wasn't targeting black babies, it would be more than just one baby up there.
A lot of kids out here having kids and don't know the responsibility of taking care of them.
In 2008, there were 35,888 abortions performed in Georgia, of which 58% were African American.
There's a lot of people that's making the babies, but they don't want to take responsibility to step in and take care of them.
Overall, 20,909 African American abortions were performed in 2008, which is almost twice that of the white population and over 4 times that of all other races combined. But Brenda still believes abortion affects all races, and it's the child, any child, that suffers in the end.
A baby's a baby.
It's just sad to think about, what their lives could have been if they were born.
Like I said, the lady came out here and posted a sign, and she said, that I couldn't, kids, we couldn't stay here.
It is heartbreaking to see the shame in James Rachel's face and to hear the despair in his voice. On Wednesday, Augusta environmental enforcement officers condemned his home because of the poor living conditions. For the past month, Rachel's has lived here on Bird Road with no water, no electricity, and in these conditions. His wife and 2 teenage children are warm tonight. The city forced them out, but he says he's staying to try to get back on his feet.
I decided to stay here so that way I could, do some stuff, The environmental service lady said if I could get a job, that I could come back. If I got the house back up in compliance and called her and let her come out here and check it, then we could move back in the house.
But before that can happen, there's a lot that has to be done. The roof needs repair, all of the trash cleaned up, and then there's this.
See, this is the shut-off valve here. It leaks. What I had to be doing was getting up, cutting it on and off in the morning for my daughter to wipe off and stuff. As a matter of fact, here's one of the necklaces.
Rachel says he's doing the best he can, but it's an example of what the poor economy has done to his family.
How long have you been on hard times?
For a long time. A lot of people saying I was a deadbeat dad, and I said, well, how can that be when I'm walking? I'm not robbing no banks. I'm not doing any drugs. And I don't drink. Somebody said something about if I went back to work, they might cut my wife's check, and I was kind of scared to go back to work. If anybody's out there, please, I need a job. I don't want my kids to be took away from me.
I was taking my friend Crystal home, and we seen them coming down the street.
Terrence Reese speaks quietly as he sits with a steel plate in his chin to reposition his jaw.
And the voice came up to me, and they started just saying stuff. And I was like, hey, how y'all doing? And I don't want any problems.
Despite a broken jaw and fractured bones, amazingly, you can understand his words as he recalls the events that took place on Monday. The 16-year-old was jumped by alleged members of the Apple Valley Posse.
My best guess is that when I woke up, it was from when they were kicking me in my chin right here. I have stitches right here. You can't see them. And it broke my jaw right here, right there, and right there.
Terrence says he was walking a friend home when he was assaulted, but he doesn't regret being there.
If I didn't take her home that day, she could have been hurt. I'm glad I'm the one that took the pain for that and not her.
A smart kid who excels in chemistry, art, and literature, Reese proudly wears a Butler t-shirt. He says there are lots of gang members at Butler, and that Butler doesn't have the greatest credentials, but it's still where he wants to be.
Going to Butler, I may not have the biggest opportunities, but it's a steady road I can walk on. I know that Butler's not the best school, and everybody always tells me, like my boss, he always telling me that I need to go to A.R. Johnson because I'm very smart.
And that's what he wants to do, get back to school.
The reason I want to go back so bad is to show them that, I could have been the one that died this month.
Are you angry at these kids who did this?
No, I feel sorry for them because they have no life. My whole thing is about living forever, being a legend. They're not going to remember for anything.
If you had a message for these kids tonight who did this, what would it be?
Get some real friends, because gang members are not your friends.
This is the headstone of a soldier removed from its plot. Not only removed, but carelessly tossed aside and almost discarded. It's what 3 members of the Sons of Confederate Veterans discovered at Blue Springs Cemetery in Missouri. The headstone was placed to honor one of their own, John Nolan, a soldier who fought for the Confederacy during the Civil War. Ironically, another Confederate headstone sits only a few feet away, untouched. The only difference between the two is that if you look closely at the inscription, it shows that John Nolan was a black Confederate soldier. Jerry Blaine, determined to find out why the monument was removed, called the police.
And the police officer noticed that the monument is laying in the yard in front of their shed.
And that's where it's been for at least the past 2 months. Jerry Blaine, Don Gilmore, and Tim Apgar all say no one contacted them or any chapter of the Sons of Confederate Veterans to inform them the stone was being uprooted. But here's the explanation they got from this woman, the caretaker, after the fact.
Someone had called her and said that this John Nolan was not a black man, that she was the granddaughter, and requested that the headstone be removed.
That's right, based only on a phone call. The cemetery caretaker removed the stone, and this is where it ended up. All 3 men are outraged.
To me, it's gut-wrenching almost. You know, I was present when that stone was set along with another one just down the way.
Disrespectful and outrageous to do something like that. It's a felony and a federal crime also.
I find it really hard to believe that somebody could get something taken off of somebody's grave with just a phone call.
When the veterans discovered that John Nolan's headstone had been removed, they placed a simple Confederate flag in its place. Now, 1 week later, that's been removed also. Is all of this a simple misunderstanding, or is it something else?
It's a hate crime, in my opinion.
Apgar says that he's heard of damage to other Confederate graves, but nothing as brazen as this.
I don't know why they would not want to honor a brave soldier, regardless of what cause he fought for.
Jerry Blaine says it all comes down to this. He believes it was removed because some won't acknowledge that African American Confederates actually existed. And he believes the culprit in all of this is still nearby.
The cemetery didn't want us to place the headstone there. They should have said no before we placed it, but once it's placed there, it's protected under the state and federal laws.